making raspberry chocolate bombs. So first you want to start with your raspberries in a food processor, and then you want to blend. Now that most of it is into a sort of paste, we can move on to the next step. We have our raspberry puree. The next step would be to make a cornstarch slurry. So here we have our water and our cornstarch. So we're going to put the cornstarch in the water like that. So now we have a cornstarch and water mixture, which we are going to grab a spoon and mix around. This cornstarch and water slurry will act as a sort of solidifier for a raspberry, which is going to end up in our tart. So, our chocolate tart thing. So, we're going to mix this around until we have a nice and uniform slurry. The final ingredient we have is sugar. The sugar will balance out the taste of the tart raspberries and make it sweeter and make it overall better. In our saucepan, we are going to turn our heat on. Then we are going to add our raspberries, our sugar, and finally, the cornstarch slurry that we have made. So you have that in there, and then you're going to let it cook down, and you're going to stir it around constantly to make it into a sort of filling-ish thing. If you feel like your mixture is a little bit too liquidy for how you would like it, you can add a little bit of more cornstarch slurry, but make sure to mix it in with the water fully to where there's no clumps of it. As our thing is a little bit too viscous, I'm going to add in a little bit more of the cornstarch slurry. And then what we're going to do now is we're just going to mix it around and let it simmer until it's a lot more viscous than it is right now. As you can see now, as it is bubbling a lot, we're going to turn off the heat, we're going to mix it around, and then we're going to let it set. Once it seems like it may need a little bit of stirring, stir it as you want as it cools down. The next step is the chocolate. So we're going to set this aside to cool down a lot, and so it won't melt the chocolate part of it. So we're going to have our chocolate chip. We're going to open this up. We're going to throw it in there, and then it'll take a little bit to melt, but soon it will be done. And there's our chocolate. So we're going to set that down, and next we're going to move on to pouring the chocolate into the mold. So here are our molds. We're going to get a little bit of chocolate, and we're going to pour a set of chocolate into the mold. A little bit in each. So that's the chocolate for the first one. Then we're going to move it around to get the edges. So now that we have our two main molds, we're going to put it in the refrigerator so we can layer it up. So we're going to open this up, and we're going to put all of our chocolates into here. So we're going to find a spot, put it in, make sure nothing else is touching it, and it's flat, then close it up. And then we're going to wait for it to cool, and then after we wait for it to cool, we're going to layer it up with more chocolate. So now that we have this, we're going to pour in our chocolate into each mold, and then after we do that, we're going to make another wall of chocolate on the edge to make it more sturdy. So we pour in our chocolate, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to turn it to get the chocolate on the edge. So now that we have our second layer of chocolate, we're going to pour a little bit of our raspberry filling into it, each one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cool it again, and then we're going to layer chocolate and raspberry on top of each other to keep the structure still. So I've cleaned up the counter a bit, and I have our things. So each time we're just going to add a little bit of chocolate on top of it and spread it around, because with the chocolate on top of the chocolate and the raspberry in between, it creates a strong structure which is able to hold it intact when popping it out. I had to melt a little bit of chocolate, but now I have this. So we pour it in, and we smooth it out. So that's our first layer of raspberry done. So now what we have to do is we have to refreeze it. Then we're going to add one more layer of raspberry, and then we're going to add a final thick layer of chocolate, and then it's going to be ready to pop out. So we have this, and then we're going to add our second thinner layer of our raspberry filling. So we add that in, and we add that in. So we set that aside, we grab this, and we're going to spread it across a bit. And now what we have is this. So after that, what we're going to do is we're going to add a big layer of chocolate onto it. I'm out of chocolate. 1 second. So now that we have the rest of our chocolate, we're going to pour that in. Stop the flow. And then we make it nice and even. Move it around a bit. And then add a little bit more to this one to even it out. So now we have this. What we're going to do is we're going to freeze this and then pop them out, and then that would be the final product. Little tip if you make this from home, on the final layer you want it to freeze a lot longer than once the top is cold, because there may still be some liquid chocolate inside of it, or below the top layer that also needs to freeze. So if you're making it at home, make sure to do that as well. For the moment of truth, we have to pop them out. So first, the pumpkin one. I've brought reinforcements. So one there, one there. Oh, this is so scary. So cut the excess chocolate off, and then make an incision there. And let's get this pumpkin out. Okay. Oh my gosh. Almost. All right, it's not budging. It's working. It's almost out. Oh! Yes! Look at that. Perfect. I'm gonna set that in the freezer, and then I'm gonna get the leaf one out. All right, time for the leaf one. So I need to get all of the excess chocolate off. Then incision there. Incision there. Oh, close. Okay. Now. Oh, it needs to be frozen for a little bit longer. I should have put something in there to make it not stick. Wow, it's really difficult to get out. All right, so we're gonna wait for that to freeze a little bit more, and then we're gonna pop it out. All right, we have this. We're gonna make a cut there. Oh, then we're gonna get that out gently. Jeez, it's just chocolate. It shouldn't be this hard. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! I have a solution. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour some chocolate into here, and then I'm gonna put it in, so hopefully the chocolate fills up the sides. So some chocolate in there. And then hopefully, when I put this disaster into there, it should fill up the, oh no. Okay, so, so then, so hopefully, after I freeze this, hopefully it's going to work. If not, don't think anything is. Alright, so we have this. Don't know if it's gonna work, so I need to grab the knife. So I need to cut off a lot of excess chocolate, which I'm not happy about. Alright, excess chocolate cut off. So you make a thing there, thing there. So now, hopefully, this should pop out and not be terrible. And I doubt it's not going to be terrible, and it's not popping out. So, alright. Alright. Fixed it a little bit. So I'm going to put this into the freezer. Because the leaf one didn't turn out as good, I'm going to be making another pumpkin one. And I'm not going to show that one because it takes a long time to make. But I'm just going to be making another one. I made 2. So first I need to get my knife. Then I got to cut them out. So there. It's working. It's surprisingly difficult to just get a little bit of chocolate out of a mold. So let's put it like that. And there we go. First one done. Now the second one. Cut, 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 cut. Go like that. And that one needs a little bit more cutting. So one there, one there, one around there. There, is that good? Oh, that one messed up a little bit. But that's good. Now I gotta let these freeze and then I'll essentially be done. These are my chocolate creations. So let's cut open the leaf and let's look inside. Actually, I think I may need a bigger knife. That's more like it. Anyways, so cut. Wow. Right. That one's not as good. That's the inside. Now let's cut open this. So let's see what's inside of it. Look at that beauty. So all of these, these are some autumn-themed ones. You can use them with really any mold. And they're a great thing to have as a dessert, a snack, on top of cakes or cupcakes. But overall, they're a really good treat. All right, let's try one. Cheers. That is amazing. Chocolatey, fruity, soft. Not really soft, but It's a really good dessert. Anyways, I'll put the recipe in the link, I'll put the recipe in the descriptions. And like and subscribe if you want more cooking.